Did anybody try it? Anybody find an opportunity to try the accountability discussion in a real live situation? Didn't work? Let's hear about it. What'd you do, Jim?
We were just talking about a conference with the employee. Not really a behavior modification, because I don't think we were trying to change her behavior other than get the truth out of, we didn't think that she was telling us the full truth of the situation. And we would ask her a question and wait for the answer. We didn't always get the answer.
What happened?
Maybe she had outweighed us. She had all night.
So you weren't prepared just to wait, huh?
No.
You let her beat you on that. Well, that's easy enough to do. You just have to determine you're going to win that one and wait it out. What'd you do?
Terminate.
Well, did you win? Probably you evidently did. And, of course, termination is not necessarily a win, is it? Can be a loss. It's a very expensive thing. But if you're in the back of your mind, or not in the back of your mind, but if you already knew that this was an employee that was not one that was worthy of the effort and wasn't given a full share, and all efforts had failed, then that may have been the decision that should have been forthcoming. So. But anytime I ever have to terminate somebody, I see it as a personal failure of mine. Your people are your resources and they're your responsibility, and if they fail, you fail. And the ultimate failure is termination. Of course, we all fail, unfortunately. Okay. Anybody else tried it all? What did you do? Tell us. Did you use?
Yeah.
You did?
He came up with all his solutions.
And you resisted the temptation to give him the solutions? Great. Huh?
He gave all.
He did? Can you tell us what the problem was?
Well, in our department, we more or less based it on weight per week or weight per hour.
So, in other words, he just wasn't productive enough. Did he? Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay, let's get underway here. Let me ask you a question. What do you think is the most severe punishment, perhaps, that can be given to an individual in society by authority, other than capital punishment? What's one of the most severe punishments that society has available to control people?
Prison situation is solitary confinement.
Exactly. Yes. Solitary confinement. And what is solitary confinement? It is taking away relationships. It is denying the opportunity to listen and to speak with someone, to be listened to. There's two primitive societies who use the ultimate punishment. Instead of capital punishment, if someone breaks their most important laws, They simply no longer listen to that individual, period. He becomes or she becomes a non-person. And no one responds or reacts to them in any way. Can you imagine that? What do you think happens to those people that are subjected to that punishment? Yeah, they do. They invariably either go crazy or they leave that society and go off and they never come back. They cannot live in that society and maintain their sanity. A severe punishment, withdrawal of listening. Okay. What we're going to get involved with now is something I really get a kick out of. I enjoy it. It works great. You can use it in a lot of situations, and it's a very powerful technique. And it's particularly useful whenever you get into a situation, someone who is emotionally upset about something. You're in your office somewhere, and all of a sudden somebody comes in and they're just at the point of tears or maybe crying or maybe they're just so mad they can, they're red in the face and just really upset. Does that ever happen to anybody on the job?
It does.
It does? Where did we leave off last time? Does anybody remember? Right about here. All right, let's give an example of that then. Who would be a volunteer to come up here and help me role play something? Somebody come up here. Anybody?
You want to stand up?
Yeah, you got back trouble here. There you go. Come on up here. Okay. Now, Donnie Johnson. Okay, Donnie, what do you do over there?
I'm a group leader in receiving and separation.
All right, let's say that I work for you. And what could my job be? Be a good job. One that's got a lot of headaches and problems.
Good job.
Unloading the trucks.
Okay, I unload the trucks. How do I unload them? With a lift fork? Or
Yeah, you got a house to unload them.
okay. All right, and that's all I do. I unload the trucks. Okay, I ride that truck all day long, huh? What kind of complaints do you have from your forklift operators? What kind of problems they have? They come to you.
Oh, drums are not tagged. The customers don't tag the drums. The drivers don't tag the drums.
The drivers don't tag them.
And you're trying to figure out which drums go with which customer.
So you don't know where to load what, and you just got a big pile of drums here, and they're not identified properly. Okay. That's one of their big. What other kind of problems they got?
Oh, cartons busted open, house units scattered all over the floor.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to be the lift truck operator. And let's say I'm one of your good men. Let's say that I've been with you 10 years and I'm really one of your top people. Okay? You really think a lot of me. You know me well. But this particular day, you come to work, Donnie, and you come in and you look on your desk there, and here is a resignation note from me. It just says, I hereby resign, effective immediately, Don Rogers. Now, what are you going to do about this? What would you do?
Well, I'm going to get you, and we're going to, go into the office.
Okay. All right.
Closed office, just me and you. And I'm going to say, Don, see this resignation letter here, saying you're quitting as of right now.
All right. So you know pretty well what you're going to do then. So now okay, let me ask you this. Now what is your objective? What would your objective be? What do you want to accomplish
Well, I
here?
want to find out why you got
Okay, all right. So his natural objective is to find out the problem, right? Okay. So you want to find out the problem. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Huh?
Just Friday, okay?
Don, I got this. Don, have a seat, please.
I can't, Donnie. I can't sit down. I'm so upset I can't hardly stand it. This place is driving me crazy. It's terrible.
Just sit down here, Don. Let's discuss
Must have
this
been
here.
crazy to come work for this place.
Well, hold on now. Sit down here now.
All right,
Let's,
all
let's
right.
discuss this. I see you give me a letter here. It's on my desk. this
Yeah,
morning,
yeah.
saying you're quitting.
Yeah, I got to get out of here,
Right
Donnie.
now. What's the problem, Don?
Man, I can't take this place. I tell you what, this place is a madhouse. People throw drums around. They don't know anything about putting any kind of identification on anything. They expect me to be a mind reader, right? Been here 10 years.
Well, it does.
hasn't it? Been here a long time.
Yeah.
I
You've
just
been
can't-
fighting
I
this
got-
problem now for 10 years.
10 years. I just had it. I got to get out of this place. I got to find something else. Can't take it anymore. My blood pressure's up. I tell you what, I go to home at night and I have nightmares. The drums are just falling all over me, just all night long. I got to move on. I don't know what to do.
Well, Don, you know, we've been fighting this problem now for 10 years together. Drivers and, of course, customers, they don't tag the drums. And I know it is a problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've been working pretty close with this situation, and we've had no complaints. And I think you're doing a good job out there. I know it is a headache. And, of course, you know, that I do talk to the fleet manager, and you know,
Yeah.
we're trying to get this corrected.
It's terrible. We've been talking with them, Donnie. You know, that's the thing. I don't know. I just feel like that I believe I'll go work in a service station somewhere. Go somewhere you don't have any headaches. You just pump gas and you talk to all your friends and people out there. And I just can't take this place. It's driving me crazy. I went to see my doctor. He said, "You must work over at Air Industry." I said, "Yes, sir. How do you know?" He said, "We get a lot like that." I just tell you, it's terrible, Donnie. It's awful. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Let me ask you this. Have you got any suggestions?
Yeah.
Do you know of a way that maybe we can talk to
I tell you what we need to do.
the manager?
I'm glad you asked me that.
We'll get him down here. and
What you need to do, what you need to do is get rid of Choice. He's the problem. If you could fire him and get rid of him, we'd have it made around here. He's the problem. And I tell you, unless we get rid of some people around here, I don't believe this problem will ever get any better. And I think the best thing for me to do is make it easy on everybody. I'll just be the first one to leave.
Well, Don, I don't want you to leave. You've got 10 years here, and you're one of my best employees. You're dependable. You do a good job for me. I know it's a headache. I know it's a problem out there. Tell you what. Back on this thing to 8 o'clock, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get the fleet manager down here. And 8
All right.
o'clock, you and I will go in the office, and we'll talk to him, and we'll
All right.
hash this out, and we'll see if we can't come up with some solutions on this.
All right?
Will you do that, Warren?
You're going to get the fleet manager
Yeah.
down here. Okay. Can you get Larry Suey too?
Well, I don't think at this time we need Larry.
Don't need Larry? Okay.
Let's you know, talk to the fleet manager and see
Donnie.
what we can come up with.
Appreciate it. Good job, huh? Good job, Donnie. Yeah. I tell you, that's not easy to do. Huh? I'm telling you the truth. I don't know what it is, but my back started hurting. Listen, how did he do? Wasn't that, I'll tell you the truth, he was doing so well that he really kind of made it hard for me to demonstrate an irate, upset type of employee. He was doing some things very well and doing them exactly right. What would you have done to handle that situation? Huh? Same thing? Yeah. Let's try one more. Can I get one more, squeeze one more volunteer out of the group? Let's do one more. Anybody? Somebody that hasn't been on the hot seat yet. Let's try it. Anybody else got back trouble? Huh? Everybody's all of a sudden interested in their notes. I can't get anybody to even look at me. Come on, somebody. Come on up here, Mike. Come on up here. You want to do it? Huh? Come on up here. Appreciate it. Let's see. Let's set up. Let's have the same kind of a setup. And I'm one of your good employees. You think a lot of me. In fact, we'll just have the same job and everything if you want to. I've been with you 10 years. I operate your lift truck. You've never had any problems out of me particularly. And you come in this morning and there's my resignation on the desk. And of course your objective is to find out what the problem is, okay? Find out what the problem is. Okay? Thank you. I sure would. Appreciate it.
I'd like to talk to you about the resignation that I found on my desk.
Yeah.
What seems to be the problem?
Okay, Mike, I don't know. I just can't make it anymore. Just seems like it's just too much for me. I'm just gonna have to leave it with you. I don't know what to do. Sick. Good. Losing weight. Just can't take it like I used to.
What seems to be causing it?
What seems to be caused it? It's people around here, I see it. People. Nobody cooperates with you. It's the worst place I ever worked. Can't get anybody to help you. People don't do their jobs right. They make it hard on everybody else. I used to put up with it, but I guess I'm getting old. No cooperation anymore. For instance? Well, Choice, he's the worst. They bring all these drums up here. Nobody ever thinks to identify anything. How in the world they expect you to know what to do with these things? The parts thrown, spilled all over the place. Expect me to come along and figure all this out. What you need to do is get rid of Choice.
Well, the problem seems to be that it's with your job. A lack of identification of drums, job pressure. What do you say we get the fleet manager down here and let's discuss it with him, see if we can solve it.
We've had him in here before. What does he know? He'd come in here and talk and go back in a week he'll be the same. I just gonna get a job down at the service station.
Well, you know you're an excellent employee. You're one of the best employees that I have. You've been with me for a long time.
Yeah.
I hate to leave And I'd like to look into any solutions that you can come up with or that I can come up with where we can try to solve this problem. Let's get the fleet manager down here and talk to him.
No, I don't want to talk with that sucker. He gonna put me on the bricks right now in a minute.
Ron, you know all jobs have their good and their bad points. You've got a lot of good points here and there. You've got job security, you've got good benefits and wages.
How's he doing? Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Mike. Good job. Now, he's pretty convincing. You notice what he did at the beginning? What did he do? Huh? He waited and let me talk, didn't he? Listen, I will say this. I'll say 99 times out of 100, I don't care how emotional that individual is, how upset they might become, there's a way to handle it. There is a way to handle it. What's the biggest single barrier to good communication? Huh? Okay, not listening. All right. That's a big one. I'm thinking of another one. Okay, that's correlated to not listening for sure. Probably one of the biggest mistakes we make is we do too much talking, and he demonstrated how that skill can be effective of listening. Yeah. What's another one?
The attitude that you project when the employee comes in.
Okay.
You're ready for him. You're ready for him. You aren't.
Okay, what kind of an attitude should you have?
You should project an interested, sincere.
Okay. All right. That's certainly a good one. I'm thinking of another one.
Don't let him get you upset.
Okay, yeah. Somehow or another we feel like that if someone is experiencing a certain emotion, we have to be experiencing that same emotion. Your wife gets upset and mad, what do? You get mad too, don't you? Nobody ever said there was a law that's just because Choice is mad, that I have to get angry as well. There's no law that says that has to happen. We can decide not to pull into that same emotion. But I'm thinking of another one. I believe this is the single biggest barrier to effective communications. Right there. Emotions. When the emotions rise, the brain turns off, doesn't it? When the emotions get involved, you quit thinking. And this is what happened in these two examples. This fellow was emotionally upset. And when he got that condition, he quit thinking. Now, that's the problem. You see, you have a barrier to solving this problem. This effective communication is prevented because of an emotional barrier. Now, we as managers are trained, our instincts are to do what? We're experts at solving problems. That's what managing is solving problems. And we want to leap into any situation that is demanding problem-solving behavior, because that's what we're good at. And really we get frustrated at anything that's preventing us from getting in there, looking at this thing rationally and saying, hey, this is what we need to do here. Very calmly, we need to have the fleet manager come in here and sit down and rationally work this out, right? Solve the problem. Now, these fellows were doing a good job of handling this situation, but what did they do too quickly, perhaps? Jump to what? Problem, right? Before they handle what? The barrier. Yeah. You see, you've got to handle the barrier first. Now they were handling my emotions beautifully. They were really bringing me down. But then they were doing what come natural, and they were doing it very well, but then they would move off of that tactic and go to another one and jump over to the problem, wouldn't it? Remember they'd say, well now, is it, is it the fleet manager? Is that, you know? All right, look, let's sit down here and see if we can't work this problem. All we got to do is, you remember that type of a conversation? They were doing what they're best at, and that's solving the problem. But, gentlemen, you're wasting your time trying to solve problems with someone who's emotionally upset. It's just not going to happen. How do you handle the emotions? Step number 1. Step number 1 is accurate empathy. Accurate empathy. Now, that's not sympathy. What does empathy mean? Yeah, you remember the old Indian saying, how does it go, somebody? Don't judge another brave until you've walked a mile for 1 moon in his moccasins. Yeah. Putting yourself in the other guy's shoes. Empathy. How, though, are we going to, it's very well to say that, sure, it sounds good, but how do you do it? What specifically do you do? Here we've got someone who's very upset. Now, how are we going to get him calmed down? You calm me down, okay? This place is driving me crazy. I just can't take it anymore. I got to get out of here. Somebody calm me down. What would you do? Anybody? Go get a cup of coffee. Back to the punching bag. What is?
You listen. You know, you let the guy get it out of the system without getting emotions.
Okay. All right. So you're not gonna let your blood pressure go up, number 1, and number 2, you're gonna listen. Okay.
Somewhere I read that the Japanese industries do have a punching bag or a dummy, possibly made up like the manager. And they would go back in a little room and beat the heck out of it.
Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting approach. Do you think you'd be in favor of that over at Arrow? Depending on who he looked like. Okay. How are we going to empathize with this person? Step number 1, how do you actually demonstrate accurate empathy? What we got to do is get those emotions to go down. Accurate empathy means this. In doing, it means that you want to put a mirror up in front of that person, because you want them to see their own emotions and their own behavior and what they're saying. You want to give them right back exactly what they're doing and saying, see? You want them to see what their behavior is. How would you do that? Huh? How would you do it? You just tell them. No, you just tell them. See? You describe to them what their behavior is. Okay? Boy, you're really upset. I can see you're upset. I've never. This is not the Don I know. Let's look at you. Your face is red. Your eyes are bulging out. You're pacing up and down. Boy, something is really bugging you. I can see that. Give them back a picture of how they're feeling. Boy, you really are out of it. What was that going to do for them? Yes, it will. It will. He'll start to reflect. In other words, you're giving him a picture of himself, see? It's just as if you held a mirror up in front of him. And he's seeing his own emotions. You're giving him what? What's the word for it? We use it all the time. Feedback, right? You need to give him some other type of feedback as well. You need to give him the feedback of what he's saying. Not only how he's feeling, but actually what he's saying. How do you do that? Yeah. You just repeat what he says. Nobody around here cares about my job and helping me. Okay? How would you repeat that back? You say, go ahead and repeat it. Nobody around here gives me any support. Somebody repeat that back.
Don, you really believe nobody supports you?
That's right. I just feel like nobody supports me. That's it. All you do is just repeat it back. You can use the same words. You can change them around. People around here that have to make all the decisions, they don't consider me. They don't care about me. Repeat that back now. How would you say that?
Are you saying I don't care about you?
Okay. Now. Getting to the point. Who am I really upset with here? You see, when people are emotionally upset, they're not going to tell you the straight of it, are they? Most likely. They won't. A lot of times, what will they do? They'll give you a lot of flack. Particularly if it's somebody that you have some control and power over. Now, if I was telling you about how I was upset with the choice, the fact of the matter is it wasn't choice at all that was bothering me. Who was it? Who was I really upset with? No? The supervisor. He was really the one I was bugged about. Are you saying then that you feel like I don't support you? Give them back exactly what they say. Both their emotions and their words. That's step number one. Now, what's that going to do? What will that do? Just by itself, you didn't do anything else. It causes them to come down and think. Already, you'll be able to see the air is going out of the balloon. That emotion's going to begin. Because what is the main thing they're going to sense from your taking that approach? Exactly. Yeah. In other words, I'm going to say, this guy he's really tuned into me. He is feeling something of what I'm feeling. He understands what I'm saying. He's reacting to my emotions and how I feel right now. We're coming together. And I can see that he hears me. See? What is this guy screaming out for us to do? What does he want more than anything else? To solve the problem? No. No. Huh? He's wanting somebody that will understand how he feels, where he's coming from, what he is as a person right then and right there. That's what he wants. And he's screaming within himself. He's trying every way he can to get you to recognize what he's wanting from you. That's all he wants. Now, something else he may want, when he gets kind of aggressive, Donnie, if you just do a better job around here, take a lot of strain off of me. Now, what am I wanting Donnie to do? Yeah, I'm wanting him to say, hey, wait a minute. You trying to blame me for this? Huh? I'm wanting a what? You're a problem around here. If you see, I'm wanting to come back, right? Yeah, I'm wanting a fight. A fight's what I want. right? I'm getting up close to them. I'm getting, you know, there's only 3 reasons to get within 18 inches of a person. I mean, there's only 2 reasons. What are they? Uh-huh. To make love or to fight, one of the 2, right? And we ain't gonna do either one, are we, Donnie? Right. You got that distance, and then back here, oh, about 24 inches is a friendly sort of distance, and then you have a more formal social distance. And you see, we own the space around us psychologically, don't we? And if I get too close to Donnie, I invade his space, he feels threatened by that. So we only have a couple of reasons for being that close. But unless you're in the weave room. All right, tell us why what happens in the weave room. Oh, because of the noise level. Oh, yeah, right. That's, I think, what do you call it? Mouthwash and breath deodorant. They're very important in the weave room, aren't they? Because you have to get right up in somebody's face. But a lot of times when someone is upset, they're wanting you to come back. They're wanting to feel that resistance, see? Don't give them that resistance. Instead, give them feedback very calmly, very coolly. That's exactly how they feel. What you're going to do, you're going to, number one, as you said, clarify the situation by bringing the facts out, letting that person see exactly how they feel. You're also going to make them feel good about you and the relationship because they're going to see that you're tuned into them. All right. What's step number 2? Step number 2 is rephrase. And we've already covered that. You reflect the person's emotions and their behavior. You describe to them what they're doing, and then you repeat what they're saying. I don't mean you have to repeat it verbatim. You can change it, but give them back the meaning. Or you can repeat it verbatim. Of course, if you continue to do that over and over, it's going to sound pretty ridiculous after a while, isn't it? Like a parrot. But you just change the phrasing occasionally. Rephrase. Accurate empathy and rephrase. That will take the air out of the balloon. You'd be amazed at the difference. Now, what you have done, you have attacked the barrier. You have not bothered yet with the problem. Now, in our demonstration, these fellows were doing what they're best at, and they were doing what was natural, and they wanted to get over there and deal with the problem. They wanted to say, man, get off of this. Really, you want to say, will you sit down and behave and act like a grown-up, and let's see if we can deal with the problem, right? That's what we want to do. I can't waste time here all day with you. That's basically what they wanted to say. Begin to get frustrated. Okay. These 2 steps sort of go together. Now, by the way, you always start off with step number 1, accurate empathy. But after that, you can move around with these steps as it seems appropriate to use for you. You bounce up and down, go from 1 down to 4 and 3, whatever you feel like you need to do. But always you start with number 1. The basis for good management is good communications, and the basis of good communications is accurate empathy. Now, we've seen that the air is beginning to go out of the balloon. What are we going to do now? What are we going to do next? Somebody. All right, now you were doing that, weren't you? You were telling me about how good a job I'd done. I've been with you, been dependable. Sort of build up my what? My self-esteem. Yeah, that's a good point. What else can you do? Okay, but we don't know what the problem is yet. How are you going to get him to talk some more? Okay, you're going to ask him some questions, right? Now, is this a good question? Well, Donnie, is it something that happened over there on the second shift? Is that the problem? Is that a good question?
Nope.
Uh-huh. Okay. I can say no. And they were doing a little bit of that, weren't they? Asking questions that I could answer yes and no. Well, was it something with the who was the guy? Who was the man that we said the problem was?
Fleet manager.
Fleet manager. Was it the fleet manager? Well, of course, I could have said no. Well, was it second shift supervisor? Was it the group? I could play that game a long time, couldn't I? No, wasn't it? No. Whatever you ask, I said, no. I'm enjoying this. It's fun. I got you going. This is a little game, you know. I call that what's bigger than the bread basket. You can't win that game. So instead of asking those types of questions, ask what kind? Open-ended questions. What's an open-ended question? Uh-huh. And boy, they asked some good open-ended questions, didn't they? What seems to be the problem? Open-ended questions tend to begin with what? What do they begin with? Most of them. Who, what, when, where, how, why. The W questions plus how. Yeah. And they cannot be answered with yes or no. Ask then some good open-ended questions. Open-ended questions serve to open up an individual. They're good questions to get somebody talking. Ask an open-ended question, you get some very valuable information back. Now, this is not the type of a question that you would ask if you were a trial lawyer. You know, trial lawyers, they ask questions that can be answered yes and no a lot of times. Were you or were you not at the place in question on December the 12th, right? Yes, I was there. They're pinpointing, they're moving from one, and they're guiding that thing, you see. But this is not the approach you want to take. You want to open that person up by asking open-ended questions. Okay, and they asked some good ones. One of the best ones to start off with, and I believe somebody asked me that, and that is, when? Well, Don, tell me, when did this thing first become a problem for you? When? That's a good one to start with. When did this first begin to be a problem? You get some parameters around it. You begin to get the person thinking back over that situation. Well, I guess it really got rough about 3 months ago. Okay? Now, what are you going to do? I've given you some information. You asked me an open-ended question. I said, well, about 3 months ago. What are you going to do now? What would you do? Ask a what? Ask another open-ended question, right? Okay. Somebody asked me another one. Oh, it was about 3 months ago, I guess. Somebody asked me an open-ended question. Why? Okay. That's a good, I would say the most difficult question to answer, and the one that gives you the highest level of responses is why. You ever think about it? If you ever have to go talk to the boss, the one question you don't want to have to answer is why. If you really want to frustrate somebody, just keep asking them why on anything. Why? Now, that is a great question to ask. But in asking these open, let me give you just one little approach to it. Ask an open-ended question, and if you get any little tidbit of information, use that information for your next question, see, and gradually build. Don't expect just because you went to, went to a class on reflective coaching and know about open-ended question, all you got to do is ask one, and this guy's going to reveal his soul to you. No, it will take bits and pieces at a time. But if you get one little bit of information, take it, use it, and ask another open-ended question based on what you learned. And you'll find that gradually, with a few questions, this person will begin to open up. They'll begin to talk. They'll tell you all you want to know and then some. But be prepared. Probably the first things they're going to tell you are what we call a bunch of flack. They're not just going to open up and tell you the truth of the situation just because you ask. Probe. Well, you say about 3 months ago. Well, what was it that happened about 3 months ago that was different? Tell me a little bit about what happened back then. I don't know. It just seemed like, that was when Choice came in, his new job. And see, I'm still picking on Choice. Now, I've already revealed to you that really Choice is not the problem, right? There's something else bugging me, and it relates to Donnie, to Mike, to the supervisor. See, open-ended questions are going to get you beyond the flack to the real problem. Let me ask you something. Why do we ask open-ended questions?
Get full detail of the problem. It's also a signal that we listen.
The more he talks, the more air comes out of him. The calmer he gets.
How long have I been quiet? Why? You see, what did I just do? I asked you an open-ended question, didn't I? And then what did I do? I shut up, didn't I? Did you notice the quality of the responses that we were getting? Step number 4. Shut up. Ask an open-ended question and be silent. Silence. See, while I was being silent, I was up here sort of counting myself, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. To be sure that I stayed silent. There's a certain amount of pressure that's created whenever you're silent in a social situation. Did you feel that pressure begin to develop a little bit? Particularly Americans. Americans can't stand silence in a social situation. You ever notice that? Did we talk about this on last Tuesday? Did we? About silence? Did I give you the... There is a void that's created by silence that pulls you into it, psychologically speaking. and forces you almost to get involved, and you'll find you'll just be laying out your soul to somebody who will ask an open-ended question and then be quiet and wait. This is really, Americans in silence can be demonstrated by getting on a crowded elevator. You ever get on a crowded elevator? A lot of people, you know, going up the 20th floor. See, our social distance has been violated, first of all. Sitting, we're on the elevator. And I'm scared of these things, aren't you? Well, I'm glad it cleared up, aren't you? I'm glad the weather's clear. Yeah, pretty soon, everybody's watching those little lights go up, you know. Like, that's the most interesting thing in the world. Silence. You know, there's another profession that uses silence as powerful, too. Any of you ever study salesmanship? Ever get involved in sales? You learn the techniques of selling. You know, one of the things you do is you ask a closing question. That's a closing question that cannot be answered with a yes or no. Would you prefer, you like the brown one or the blue? Which would you prefer to have? Or you want this, would you want this delivered tomorrow morning or this afternoon? Techniques of selling. You ask a closing question. See, first of all, you observe that individual and you see that they are beginning to give you buying signals. You know, they're saying and doing things that let you know they're interested. Then you ask the closing question. And then what do? You shut up. You wait. The first person that speaks loses. That's the way it works. I used to be in the microwave oven business. I had a franchise, and my primary job was to recruit salespeople and train them for 2 weeks and then send them out. We were selling these microwave ovens direct, you know. We'd get appointments. I had what we call a boiler room. You're familiar with a boiler room? 5 or 6 girls around with telephones, calling everybody, making appointments. You know these people that call you up and annoy you about, you know, these surveys and all? That's a boiler room thing. Well, I had a boiler room. All these appointments, and had these salesmen. But my job was constantly training, recruiting, salesmen, sending them out. This one particular evening, I had a young fella. He'd finished the 2 weeks of training, and we were out in the field, first time we'd been out. As we approached the house where we had the appointment, see, I had my microwave oven, all my goodies to cook and everything, and I said, now, when we go in there, you know, we'll chat and so forth and get acquainted, and you feel free to join in. But I said, as we get down into the actual selling, get closer to the end, you be quiet, don't say anything. All right. So we got in there. I started my dog and pony show. Man, I had a demonstration that wouldn't quit. This one, people didn't know about microwave ovens too much, you know. They were fascinating things. And she'd say, honey, did you see what he did? He cooked those eggs in 30 seconds. Can you imagine how that'd be in the morning? Ooh, that'd be great. And then he'd say, oh, smell that bacon, man. Cook that bacon just delicious. Wasn't it good? So, you know, you could really get somebody excited about a microwave oven. Defrost a hamburger in 3 minutes. Oh, that'd be great. Change our whole, think of all the money we'd save. I said, now, this microwave oven here sells for $500. Now, would you care to pay cash, or you want to run it through the bank? I shut up. He took a deep breath. Sweat began to pop up on his forehead. And he looked at his wife. He said, 500, huh? Tension was mounting. Finally, this young fellow that was with me said, how about that Clemson game this week? Wasn't that something? He couldn't stand it. And from then on, that sale just went just like that. and it was gone. The tension, the pressure dissipated, and the guy never made the decision to buy. He wanted that microwave oven. He was excited about it. He had the money. He never made the decision. I'll guarantee you one thing. When I got that young man back out in the car, I didn't use the silent approach on him. Silence is a powerful tool. But you have to use it and be in control. Okay. Now suppose we're down here in the midst of this part. We've been talking with this fellow, and we've been asking some good probing questions, and we got silent, and we got some information. And you know what can happen a lot of times when you do that? In fact, let's just demonstrate it. Somebody asked me an open-ended question, any kind of open-ended question. Why, when, who, what, something.
What's the reason for it?
The reason? I'm glad you asked me that. I'll tell you what the problem is around here. Now, what am I doing? I'm getting upset again, aren't I? He's touched something, right? I'm getting upset. What are you going to do? Huh? What are you going to do? Oh, okay, well, you're going to the next step. But assume we hadn't gotten to that step yet, and you only have these 4 here. What would you do now? I just tell you this place. What did you ask me? I forgot what you asked me.
What's the reason for it?
What's the reason? I'm glad you asked me that question. What's the reason? What you going to do?
Back up.
To where?
Deal with emotion.
Yeah, we got to go back up to number 1 and 2 now, see? Why, Don, you're getting upset again, see? You started pacing again. Settle back down, see? You're really upset, aren't you? I can tell you, this is really bugging you. Let's go back to your system. Go back up here. You're never at a loss as to what to do. When he gets upset again, you put the mirror up in front of him every time. And just like magic, air will go out of the room. I guarantee you. Oh, well, perhaps that's a thought. Maybe if we were a really expert psychologist, we might could do that, but oh, yeah, oh, okay. In other words, if I understand what you're saying, when he gets upset again, well, there's no reason to skirt that emotional area. Don't skirt it. Go ahead, and I agree with you, because you got to get to that emotional area, and he's got to ventilate it just as he's doing. So don't be upset about that. Go ahead and let him ventilate. It's not as if you're saying, oh, he's upset, I got to get him calmed down real quick. You don't have to do that. No. You just go to him and meet him with his emotions. Your primary objective is not to get him to go down in his emotions, although it is. Your real objective is just to let him see what his emotions are and let him see that you are there as a part of it, you're involved, and you understand it. And that will cause his emotions to go down. Okay. And yes, and step number 5 was what? Somebody mentioned it. Now this is very important. Share yourself is step number 5. And that sounds good, but what does that really mean? How do you do that? Share yourself. How do you do that? Okay. Yeah. In other words, you've got to ante up in this card game too. You've got to put a part of yourself out there on the table. See? You have got to be involved as well, emotionally, and as an individual, as a person. In other words, you can't just be playing a game and manipulating. You see? Sharing of yourself. How do you do that? Have any of you ever had the unfortunate experience to have a friend of yours lose someone that was close to them through death, and you've had to go out to the funeral parlor or to the home, and you've had to go out there and meet with that person and talk with them, and on the way out, perhaps you were saying, what in the world can I say? What can I say that will have any kind of meaning to this person in this situation? You ever experienced that? What can you say? Do you want to?
Really can't say anything.
It's not the time to make a big flowery speech, is it? All you do is you just share yourself and you say, hey, you know, I lost someone that was close to me, and I know something, perhaps, of how you feel. It's a tough situation, and I know it's what you're going through. It's really rough, and then I can share with you on that. That's all you can say. That's all. Just share. Or maybe you haven't lost anybody. You might say, well, I have never lost anybody that's as close to me as that person was to you. And I can't really feel what you're feeling, but I know it must be a terrible thing. Sharing. Very important. And did you notice how well both of these guys did that? They did it intuitive. They did it from experience. They did it well. Sharing. It's got to be a part of it, and you do it throughout the thing. Now, did you notice, look at these steps here, you see them? Is there anything up here that you're not familiar with, that you haven't done before at some time or another? You see, there's nothing mysterious about this. There's nothing complicated about it. But there's something very powerful about it. Why? What we've done, what you've got here, you've got a number of techniques that you're familiar with and that you've used very effectively in the past. But the difference? What's the difference? Now, when you use them, you'll know that you're using them, you'll know why that you're using them, and you'll use them in combinations at the right time, and you will magnify the results that you'll get. I know what the problem is. I'm pretty sure I know what the problem is. Remember, that's your objective here, is to find out what the problem is. So the last thing you got to do is what I call throw up a trial balloon. Trial balloon. Now, a trial balloon is not a question. It's a statement. You feel like after skillfully probing and gathering information with open-ended questions and using silence and sharing yourself and what have you, that you have determined exactly what the problem is. So you simply make a statement. You say, well, after listening to you, I believe I know what the problem is. The problem is, I think, that you feel like that I promoted choice over you, that I didn't treat you fairly, that since you've been here longer, you should have been promoted. Is that really the problem? And if he says, that's right, to tell you the truth, I really felt like I should have had that. And your trial balloon has been, and you have accomplished your objective, which was what? What we say we were going to try to do at the beginning. The total objective of effective coaching is to find out what the problem is. What do you do about that problem? You know so well. But too often we get into so much trouble as managers. We're good problem solvers, but we're not quite as good at identifying what the real problem is. So, if the balloon floats and he said, hey, you know, listen, that's really what's been for 3 when you promoted Choice over me. But suppose he said, no, that's not it. What do you do then? You got to go back and start asking any questions, right? Go back. Effective coaching techniques, and that's how it works. Who's questions and comments? Anybody have any apprehensions about using this? What do you think? Anytime emotion gets involved, you can use these techniques. Oh, you can use it here in this room together that understand it. In fact, a good friend of mine is the one that introduced me to reflective coaching. And he and I use it on each other all the time. If I get excited and upset over something one particular day, what does he start doing? He puts the mirror. Oh, you really upset? Yeah. I'll just go right back down. Yeah. So use it with you. The first person I'd try.
Don Patterson, Debbie Sang.
And we have one gentleman here whose name is Claude
Yeah. Practice with your children. They're really good. Practice with them. Get it down a little bit and before you do that.
And we have the experts to tailor the program to the needs of your business. In fact,
Last night, small little girl, she was upset about going back to school. The teacher she has this year, she's in 5th grade. All right, the teacher she had in 4th grade was real, well,
easy going.
well, yeah, I guess easy going, and my daughter thought the world of her. This year, the teacher she has, well, she's about middle-aged teacher, and she's real strict. And it's test after test each day. Like Wednesday of last week, my daughter had 5 tests in one day. Well, that's just discouraging my daughter. She's having both of them. And then, like I said last night, you know, she was crying a little bit. She didn't like the teacher. She didn't want to go back to school. Reflect a little bit on that.
How would you handle that, and what are you going to do?
I tell you how my wife handled it.
What'd she do?
My wife was, well, on the 5 tests. But
Well, if
my
it's,
wife, she lowered the blue mark.
what's-
He said, well, you know, the teacher is not supposed to give over 3 a day. He said he would.
Yeah.
Talk to the teacher.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's. I think if we could all take
Well, I
one.
kind of cut her short last night because like I didn't feel good.
Well,
But I did listen to her there for a little bit.
Yeah.
We tried to, you know, try to,
And then later you said, well, maybe I should have.
yeah.
Yeah. I do the same thing.
So I think I need to maybe use some of this on my daughter.
Well, what's one of the most important things you can do? Let's take Donnie's situation here. Now, this daughter's very upset. What is she conscientious? She's trying to do a good job. She wants to, but
She makes good.
but she just. How does she feel about it, basically?
She just don't like the teacher.
She doesn't like the teacher.
I think because, like I say, she's strict.
In other words, what is it that the teacher's doing that's causing her the biggest problem? What is she doing to be strict? Giving her too much work, is that basically it?
I'd say that's it.
In other words, her problem is her teacher's giving her more work than she feels like she can handle. And that's causing her to feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Is that basically the heart of her? Okay. Well, what's one of the first things? Well, first of all, you need to sort of think in your mind really what is bugging her the most, and if that's it, what would you do? Somebody. We'll coach Donnie on how to go back and handle his daughter's problem. Well,
Sit down and talk to her and explain what the teacher is doing, trying to help her part in the future, even though the teacher last year wasn't strict. Even though this teacher's giving her more work, learn her more knowledge in training.
Okay. All right. Is that the first thing you want to do? Now think of these steps and think of the techniques you've learned in these 3 days. How are we going to handle, what's her name?
Angelique.
Angelique. How are we going to handle Angelique? She's upset. She's frustrated.
Tell me a picture of yourself. The tears running down, all day is,
Exactly. Exactly. She's not ready for a lecture or a sermon yet, is she? She's not ready. What she's wanting from Daddy right now, she's wanting Daddy to say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. I see what you mean. Boy, you're in a tough situation here, aren't you? This is tough. I can appreciate it as tough. You need to share with her, don't you? Huh? You need to give her a picture of herself. You're really upset. I noticed it's because you're coming in and this is not like you. Yeah. I think you'd use these steps very effectively with her. And and share with her. But rather than tell her what the problem is and what to deal with it, what about asking her? Well, this is a tough situation. What could be done about it? What could you do? And see.
Ask what, why, where, when.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know, what's really bothering her.
Yeah.
You know, is it she doesn't like the teacher?
That's right. Maybe what you need at that time. Maybe you're needing what? Information. Be sure you got all the information out there, yeah. Probe a little bit. Yeah. And whenever you feel like you're satisfied that this is, you know the situation and you know the problem, then lead her through thought transference to tell you some possibilities of what could be done. Anybody else? Try and let us know what happens, Donnie. Give us a report. Well, I won't be back. Maybe I'll hear from you. Okay, let's practice. You ready? Has everybody got steps? You found them in your blue pages there, the reflective coaching. They should be in the blue section towards in that first section of the book. Now here's the way this works. Typically, someone is presenting some flack in front of you, and you have to get beyond that and find out what the real problem is. Now, let's divide up into groups of 4. We'll divide up into groups of 4. We'll have a supervisor, an employee, and 2 coaches. You'll want, what we'll ask the supervisor to do is leave the room in a minute, and then the 2 coaches and the employee will get their heads together and determine what the real problem is going to be, and then what the initial situation is. You know, maybe it's maybe the person is the problem is he's all of a sudden begun to stay away from the workstation, and maybe when you confront him with it, maybe he says, well, the problem is that he's bored with his work. But maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something deeper. Perhaps he's having problems at home. Maybe his wife is divorcing him, and you know, who knows? So, while the supervisor's away, the employee and his 2 coaches will come up with the situation. And then when they get themselves ready, bring the supervisor, go out and ask him to come back in and sit down and see if that supervisor can use the reflective coaching steps to get this person, A, settle down, and B, to open up what problems are, and see if you can find out what the problem is. Objective, remember, is identify the problem. But you do it by first handling the barrier. And you subordinates, you employees, you be upset, you know, whenever you can, whenever you get into the role play. Just be upset and play it right. Now, you'll find if that supervisor is using these techniques right, he doesn't have to use them perfectly, but if he begins to use them, you will find even in a role that your emotions will begin to subside. And so play it honestly. Whenever you feel that way, play it the way you feel. Okay?
Let me ask a question. All right, this morning when we done the role playing, the way we did it, I had a statement on my desk saying, okay, you know, she was
I was quitting.
Quitting as of right now. Okay, now I got you in the office. Now just suppose, say, we were both on the floor and you come from your job over to me, and you was just, oh, Donnie, you know, boy, you was final right there. All right, and I said, okay, let's go in the office. We go in the office. Would it be a good idea to say, okay, Tom, sit down, I'll get back with you in just about 5 minutes. Let you just sit there for 5 minutes, you and your thoughts alone. Then I come back 5 minutes. Kind of give you just a few minutes to cool down.
Might be.
Or should I stay there?
It might be all right. I don't think it would hurt if you just waited maybe 5 minutes. You lose a little control there, and you don't know what that guy's going to do during those 5 minutes, you see. So there's a little apprehension about that. But if he's not the violent type and so forth, you might could do that. But my point is this, you don't have to. I don't care how excited he is. You can use these techniques right here and you'll bring him down. Just use techniques. You don't have to delay it. But I don't think it's a big problem. But I would not, someone said, well, let's, you know, maybe put it off till tomorrow. I wouldn't recommend that at all.
If I was mad, planning on quitting, why not take me somewhere and tell me to wait 5 minutes till I walk out?
Okay, okay, yeah. It depends on what his emotions are. Okay. For example, let's suppose someone's crying. You're in the office and they break out crying. I mean really sobbing, not just a couple of tears. What would you do? Let them cry. Yeah, exactly. Say, I see this is really bothering you here, and give them a handkerchief. And you might give them a minute or so to get themselves together and just continue to reflect their emotions. Go right on with it. Yeah. All right, anybody else? Okay, you know what you're going to do? The supervisor's going to leave, and the employee and his two coaches are going to come up with a problem, and an apparent, obvious problem, something the guy's not doing right, and then behind that is the real problem, whatever it might be. And with all the experience you've had, I'm sure you'll be able to come up with some good problems. He's upset with you because of something you did or something at home. His wife is running around. Is all, you know, you've had them all, right? Okay, let's number off starting down here. 1, 2. Wait, did we lose it? 4.
That's 3. Herman's 4.
1.
Okay.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
No, you're 4. Okay, we're gonna have to practice this, aren't we? We'll get this down. All right, everybody remember your numbers now, and you're in that group of the one group. And if you are a 1, you're a supervisor, so supervisors, please step outside. Number 2s, you will be the employee. 3, 4s, you are the coaches.
Coach a problem child. Tom, you can tell.
You're ready, aren't you? Yeah. You have to stand up so we can get this thing over with. Kentucky right there. Kentucky, man. It's pretty cold out there.
You gonna sit?
Give him one chair right there. So angle. Brandon, pull your chair right up over here. Can you get us? Should get us all. Really come over here. Okay.
Come on in, kid. Have a seat.
Tell you what, I'll sit here, but I ain't staying.
What seems to be the problem, kid?
I'll tell you what, I'm supposed to put parts out there on that line. I can't find them. They stuck in cleaning. The guy out there on the line is hiding them. He's telling me he never got them. I put them out there. You know, what else am I supposed to do? Man, I can't run cleaning, I can't expedite, and I can't build them. You know, one of those jobs. You want me to be expedite, I'll be expedite. But I ain't doing everybody else's job.
Ken, I see you really upset over this problem.
You right, I'm upset.
Well, you come in and you say, you can't find the parts.
That's right.
You can't expedite parts. They're all over the place.
They're supposed to be on the shelf in the stockroom. Half of them is out there in the cleaning department. Expect me to go out there and clean them for them?
Well, why couldn't you help them clean it?
Because I don't work in cleaning. If it ain't on the shelf, I can't take it out there. But I do go out there and find half of it, and then when I get the stuff out there, you know what Harvey said? Harvey's out there, he said, I never got the parts from Tuck. He don't bring half of them out here. Says he can't build a unit without all the parts. I gave him all the parts. Sometime during the day, he gets them all, one way or the other.
Why does Harvey say this?
I don't know. He's trying to make me look bad. And all he's going to get.
What else is he going to get?
Well, if he don't quit trying to make me look bad, I'm liable to punch him out. But I'm just sick of it. Watch me get out of here. I'm sick of this place.
Again, I see you're sick, and you're saying you want to get out of here. This is not reflective of you. You're one of my better employees, and you just seem like you're real frustrated, and what do you think we can do about the problem?
I don't know, Francis. I'll tell you, maybe most of the parts are in the stock, but that don't mean Harvey got all his parts out there. He's saying he ain't got the parts. What else am I supposed to do?
What hasn't he got the parts?
He's got them. He's hiding them. That's what he's doing.
What do you think Harvey is hiding the parts?
I don't know. I think he wants to cost me my job. That's what it is. I can't work with Harvey.
You say Harvey's hiding the parts?
I think he is.
You have any evidence of that?
He doesn't have parts to build 10 units. Well, I know it took him out there.
Was it the right kind of parts?
I think it was. As far as I know.
What else do you think is causing the problem?
just, I can't find stuff to do my job with. It's just a hassle. And then when I get it out to you, Harvey said, he ain't got it.
Well, Ken, I see you're upset over this problem. You keep saying over and over again that you can't find the parts. You're saying Harvey hides the parts. What do you think the real solution is?
Well, I need somebody out there that's more responsible. I mean, I'm doing my job. And we need to get rid of Harvey, move him, do something, send him back over to another building.
Ken, you keep saying put the blame back on Harvey, and no evidence that Harvey is hiding the parts. What do you think the real solution is?
Move him. Then, somebody else can do the job. And Harvey's the problem. Because I'm doing everything I can.
What else do you think that you could do?
I can't really, think about what's causing this problem. Because that's the only thing I can figure out, that Harvey's doing something with the parts. Because as far as I remember, I got most of the stuff out there.
Well, again, I think I have an answer to this problem. I think you and Harvey have a conflict in working together. Is that not true that you think Harvey's looking down on you because you're a subordinate and you're furnishing his lines, and you think Harvey can be using that as an excuse not to get his production? Is that the problem?
I just think Harvey that make me look bad. I don't like it. I used to, but I don't now.
Harvey's the key. He's starting to show some agent now, of course.
What about you trying to sit down with Harvey?
I ain't going anywhere or doing anything with Harvey. No way.
Ken, you're one of our better employees, and you keep referring back to the fact that you can't get along with Harvey. Now, this is not like you.
Harvey's out to get me. Don't like it.
And you don't like Harvey. Now, is this a solution to the problem?
It's what a solution. Getting rid of Harvey?
To get you to work with Harvey.
I ain't gonna work with him. Can't do it.
Ken, I keep saying, this is not like you. You haven't had any conflicts with other employees working with other group leaders in the area. But yet you can't work with Harvey. What can we do to keep the situation and get you to work?
So I can't stand Harvey here. I can't stand him away from work. I just can't get along. Harvey just caused me a lot of problems. I can't keep him out of the job because of Harvey.
What do you think the solution to the problem
I tell you, I want to get along with Harvey, and it's not just because it's Harvey and because I can't get along with him out here at work. I just got some problems with Harvey. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with work or anything. It's just me and Harvey.
Well, Ken, I'll re-emphasize again that you've been a fine individual. As long as they keep referring back to Harvey that you can't get along with him here, what can we do as a solution to this problem that you and he have on the outside?
Make Harvey a neuter.
That's a good tip. What's a neuter?
Talking at you now.
What's a neuter? What's a neuter? A neuter is an opposite to a stud.
Take away Harvey's sex drive. That's what you need to do.
Well, I believe the problem is you and Harvey having some conflict on the outside of the
opposite
You're
sex.
right, we are.
You might say something about getting a girlfriend in the area or something.
Could you, talk about some of these problems?
Well, I didn't want to, but it looks like it's causing me a lot of trouble here. And you probably don't know anything about it, but Harvey's been going behind my back, taking my girlfriend out. It's just hard for me to come in here and work and do a good job supplying his line when he's, going as soon as he leaves here and taking her down to Winks, boozing it up, leaving me at home all torn up, and I got to come in here and look at him the next day.
What do you think the solution is?
One of us needs to move somewhere. I can't supply him with it. Okay, I don't have any background information.
Tommy knows it.
Sam is works in the maintenance department, he's a mechanic. Bill is gonna be the regular supervisor in that area. He comes in and finds a resignation for Sam on his desk, so he calls him into the office. Sam says at the end, 3:30, after all, through there.
Okay. When you're ready, go ahead and start.
Come on in, Sam.
Bill, I want to talk to you right now. This can't wait another minute. We're going to talk about something right now. Today at 3:30 is my last day here at this stupid plant. I am fed up with it to here. I'm fed up with everything.
I've never seen you.
And you know, whoa, I'm not through talking. Don't interrupt me. That's right, I am upset. You know what? I am the best maintenance man you got. I'm the best welder, electrician. I can fix anything. I'm above anybody you got out here in this plant. And I get treated less than anybody. I can go anywhere tomorrow or next week and get me a job anywhere, work for anybody. And I'm going to do it. And today at 3:30 is my last day. Today is my last day.
I've never seen you this way.
Well, maybe there's a reason I'm this way.
Well, let's talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it.
He's rephrasing instead of...
Yeah, who's the supervisor here? Let's talk just exactly what the hell's the matter with you now. Well, Sam, you say that you're real upset and you're leaving today at 3:30. And I've had no indication of you feeling this way up to now.
Well, you ought to. You the boss man. You know what's going around here. You the one tell me, Sam, you go down here, you do this, and you right here, you do that. You ought to know what's going on. You the one telling me to go do it.
That's right. That's right. Am I not supposed to tell you to do that?
Yes, but somebody else needs to do a little bit of work around here besides me. I'm carrying the whole plant on my back.
You're carrying the whole plant.
Yeah.
You're the only one that does any work around here.
I do most of it.
You do most of the work.
I surely do. Law, if it wasn't me, this place goes to dogs. It'd fall on the floor tomorrow.
You don't think the other maintenance mechanics do their jobs?
Why, the other mechanic around here's a joke. Especially when I have to go help all the time.
You have to go help one all the time.
Well, you see me down there to help him all the time, saying he's behind and he can't keep his job up. That's why I have to go.
Well, the reason why I send you, Sam, is because you are one of my best maintenance mechanics.
Yeah. I am good, I realize that. But you know what? You can't ride a horse to death forever. And you ride me to death, man. You know, I like to get out and relax a little bit. I like to go out and fish. I enjoy myself fishing. That is my relaxation, and I love it. I never get a chance to go because I always got to go down here and help this other guy. And my area gets behind. I have to end up coming in here working on the weekends. I'm gonna never get any recreation at all. All I got is work, work, work. You done turned me into a workaholic. And man, I've had it.
Well, Sam, you really have got me on this one. I can really relate to that. Sometimes I feel the same way. I feel because I do a good job, they just put more on me. But, you can take a lot of pride in that too. It's because you are the best welder, you are the best electrician. You do keep your department up, but I have to depend on you so much.
And how much he's upset. Really upset.
I already told him that.
Tell him again. Keep telling him.
I just never seen you so put out with yourself. You ought to be proud of yourself.
Ask an open question.
Pride. Pride.
Yes,
Pride don't really help you relax or catch any fish. I ain't never caught a fish with pride.
Well, I think I'm going to try a trial balloon. Okay? The solution to this problem is make you a supervisor.
Either that or fire him.
Okay. Appreciate that, fellas. That was a good job.
They couldn't deal with you.
It's awful hard to resist that temptation to get in there and try to use rationalization and help him solve his problem. It's going to... Go ahead.
Yeah, that problem where you have an employee that he works hard, catches up his job, and then you pull him off his job to put him somewhere else because you need him somewhere else. That's always biting me in the tail.
That's a classic problem, and we've discussed that on a couple of occasions. Hadn't we discussed that in this group, or was that the other one? That is. That's right. And there's no real easy solution to that. But at that particular moment and in that time, what we needed to do was reflect those emotions back to him. And don't get all keyed up about trying to be rational with him and trying to argue with him. You were doing a good job of letting him ventilate a little bit.
Letting him.
But I believe you could have helped yourself a little bit there by reflecting it back a little bit more often. And what happened was you felt his concern coming at you, and you felt the responsibility to come back with some responses that you really didn't have to come back with. You could just as easily say, boy, you really are, Sam, you really are out of it this time. And just keep giving it right back to him. And then just begin to ask him some open-ended questions. But don't respond to the stuff they're giving you, you see, at that time. There'll be plenty of time for that. He's wanting you to meet him on his emotions right then. Okay, that was a good demonstration. I appreciate that. All right, that's reflective coaching, and I commend it to you. It works. It works almost like magic, but you have to use it. You can't do what comes natural. You have to use it. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to have enough time to get into some more practice on this, and this is really what we need to do. But I think we better move along and do something else. Has anybody got any final comments to make about reflective coaching? Somebody describe this person for me. What's he like? What's that person? What kind of person is that? Yeah, very you can just manipulate them Lead them around, yeah. What else? Hmm?
Okay, well, you're going to get to be the trick. Now, they're going to be demonstrating a technique known as fogging. Fogging simply means that you offer no resistance to the criticism. You agree theoretically that the possibility of that criticism could be correct, although you don't accept that as necessarily the truth, and you maintain the right to decide for yourself. In other words, when you get criticized, you just fog back. You're just like a fog bank, you know, that's there but not there, offering no resistance. It's known as fogging, and we're going to see how it works. All right, go ahead, fellas, whenever you're ready.
Brimmer, I see you dressed in your usual sloppy manner.
That's right, Jim. I'm dressed in my usual way.
Man, those pants look like you stole them from the Goodwill rack.
Yeah, a bit wrinkled, I think.
Wrinkled? It's an understatement of the week. They terrible.
You're probably right. They do look a bit worse for wear.
And that shirt, oh, your taste must be in your mouth, boy.
That's probably true. My taste in clothes isn't one of my strong points.
Anyone who dresses like that obviously hasn't got much going for them.
You're right. I do have a lot of faults.
Faults? Is that what you call them? Man, they more like chasms. Your personality is one empty Grand Canyon.
Heck, you could be right. There are a lot of things I could improve upon.
I doubt if you're able to do a job effectively if you can't even dress properly.
That's true. I could improve my work on the job.
And you probably pick up your paycheck each week from the poor boss you're ripping off without feeling any guilt.
You're right, Jim. I don't feel any guilt at all.
What a thing to say. You should feel guilty.
Yeah, you're probably right. I could feel a bit guiltier.
You probably don't budget that $40,000 salary. You cheat other people, hard-working people, not loafers like you out of it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I could budget my money better. I do loaf a lot, don't I?
If you were smarter and had some moral sensibility, you could ask someone how to buy better clothes so you don't look like a bum.
Yeah, that's true. I could ask someone how to buy better clothes, and I certainly could be smarter than I am.
You look nervous when I tell you things that you don't like.
I sure do look nervous.
You shouldn't be nervous. I'm your buddy.
That's true. I shouldn't be as nervous as I am. You're right.
I'm probably the only person in the world to tell you that.
Sure, you're right about that. With sarcasm. Yeah, you're sure right about that.
You were being sarcastic.
That's true, I was.
You're not here to learn to be sarcastic. You already know how to do that. You're deliberately resisting how to fog.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. I already know how to be sarcastic, and I probably am fighting learning something new.
Only somebody dumb does that.
You're probably right, and that may have been dumb of me.
You'll never learn to do this right.
You're probably right. I'll never be any good at anything.
You're scratching your ear again.
That's true.
And you quickly pulled your hand away when I pointed it out.
I did, didn't I?
My pointing it out made you nervous again.
I guess you're right.
Man, you hope it.
You may be right.
What kind of hairstyle is that you have? It looks like one of those worn by those dirty hippies.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It looks just as dirty, too.
That's true. It could be much cleaner, couldn't it?
probably like to live with them, never having to wash and rolling in sex.
You could be right. Maybe I should think about that.
And you'd probably enjoy all the sexual perversions they perform.
That's a point. That's a point. You may be just right there.
Now that I think of it, you seem like the type that wouldn't have to join a band of hippies to be taught sexual perversions. You probably know about them already.
That's true, Jim. I made a lifelong study of sex.
Yeah, but I can see from your sneaky, beady eyes that you have already put some of them into practice.
By this time, grinning from ear to ear, you may be right.
You shouldn't grin when you're told what's good for you, Harold.
That's true. I should.
All you do is agree with me.
You sound like a yes man with no... Well, I'm sorry. You're right.
You sound like a yes man with no spine or personality.
I do sound like that, don't I?
You don't sound like one.
You may be
You are
right.
a yes man.
Yeah, you may be right.
You're doing it again.
That's true, I am.
I don't think you can say anything but yes to someone.
I certainly can see why you think that.
Well, can you say no and mean it?
Perhaps.
Don't you know?
Well, see, we'll have to see, won't we?
And that's all.
Okay, thanks a lot, fella.
Super cool.
Okay. See, Ralph, you be the supervisor on another shift. Let's say the first shift. And you be the supervisor on the second shift. And Ralph, what you did, you made a mistake. Your fellows wanted to play softball that had the big championship game, and they came to you in numbers, and they persuaded you to let them go 15 minutes early. And in doing so, they didn't get all the parts of them together and down to the second shift in time, and so you failed to make an order for a customer of critical order, right? So you're really upset with old Ralph for doing that to you. You really screwed up, Ralph. You really messed up, didn't you?
Yeah, but we had to get that game won. We had to practice.
Okay. All right. Now, what I want you to do, Ralph, is use fogging and the broken record to respond to his criticism. Or you can use any of the others you choose, negative inquiry. But use some of the skills that we just took a look at and just saw demonstrated in the back holiday, okay? And see how you can handle this criticism from this very upset supervisor that you really messed up. You really caused him a headache, okay? Go ahead.
Ralph, you had people on me all day because you let people off and didn't fill the order. What's wrong with you?
Well, we had a softball game.
Well, you've got a job here and you got to fulfill it. You got to meet the sales.
I know that, but it's a championship game.
Well, I still got people jumping down my neck.
Yeah, I guess you have got them jumping down your neck.
Good, good.
But
what?
we had the game, or we got to practice.
Well, you're going to have to come in here and fill the job.
I guess we could fill the job before we go.
Play softball 15 minutes later.
Yeah, we could play 15 minutes later.
Or you could play from New Orleans.
What kind of problems did he cause you by doing that? Tell him about the customer was irate. Just really chew him out of that.
The customer called in, raising cane, wanting to know where his goods was. I told him that I'd have to check and get back with him. I didn't know.
Yeah, I guess he would complain. We didn't get his parts on time.
Well,
okay. Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks a lot. Thank you. It's not easy to do up there, I'll tell you. In the hot seat. Most of you have been in the hot seat sometime during the last 3 days. And I appreciate your involvement and your cooperation. It makes things go a lot better. It's hard to do. Okay. We only have about 5 minutes left before we're going to depart for lunch. We don't have time to get involved in some good role plays on this, which is what would ordinarily be in order at this point. So I guess what we can do is just take a couple of minutes and sort of summarize the assertiveness skills that we looked at. What do you think about it? Think they'll work? Anybody have any comments on the film, by the way?
What was the answer to the guy's question about both of you are using it? I never heard of that.
If both of you are using it, the answer, I believe, was that if everybody who's been exposed to these assertive techniques, suppose you're using them on each other, as you say, is it a standoff? What is the result? Let me answer that by asking you a question. What is the result of open and honest communication?
Workable.
Workable. Yeah. So your objective is to come to a workable compromise. In other words, you've got nothing to hide here. You're not being manipulative behind it. The whole point is open, honest communication. And if you both are open and honest, you'll come to a workable compromise.
John, most people don't continually criticize you like that. I know they're trying to make a point.
Yes.
Usually they criticize and then follow with a question, what you gonna do about it? You see what I mean?
Yeah. How would you respond to that? Somebody criticizing you and say, what you gonna do about it? Let's see. Huh?
I'm gonna do that.
Okay, you're being put on the defensive there a little bit. Is there any law written anywhere that says just because somebody asks you a question about what you're going to do that you have to give them an answer?
Did you boss you that?
Huh?
Did you boss you that?
You could answer by saying, what would you like me to take a do about it? Turn it around.
That's known as getting the monkey on the other shoulder, isn't it? But do you have any, even if it's your fault,
if you want to be honest, I'm asking a question and I want an answer from you. I want to know why you let them off 15 minutes early.
Okay, you be my boss and I'll be the, and I let them off 15. I screwed up, didn't I?
You sure did. What you gonna do about it?
What am I going to do about it? From now on, I'm not going to,
what you gonna do about it now? You gonna pay them people like 15 minutes extra out of your pocket? You expect nothing?
No, there's nothing. I really hate it. There's nothing I can do about that.
Nothing you do about it?
All right, now.
You think about it a while.
No law says I've got to respond to it.
I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to answer what you're gonna do about it. You're gonna play. You charge me $1,500, and this gonna cost you your job.
We gonna fire?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
What do you do about that situation?
Huh?
If he's made his mind to fire you, there's very little you're going to be able to do.
Now I've got to ask myself the question. What is the main question I got to ask myself at this point?
What does he want you to do about it? He's the boss. You got to find out what he wants, and then you'll respond to his need because you're the subordinate.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful.
Animal pecking order in the
what?
human
Huh?
species.
Yeah.
Animal pecking order. You're low and you got to stay there. You got to follow that.
So what am I going to say? How am I going to respond to it? He's about to fire.
What do you do about it? What do you think I ought to do? Fire around Bill.
You're the boss. I'll do anything you say. What do you suggest?
What do you suggest I do? Yeah. You don't want to get fired over this thing.
You don't?
And you don't want to get.
You gonna ask me what I want to do?
Yeah.
I want you to go to the bank and I want you to get $1,500 out of it. And I want you to bring it down here. You put me in that situation, I'm gonna put you in.
That's not a workable compromise.
Okay. When faced with a compromise that you cannot accept because it threatens what? It threatens your self-esteem. It threatens. It's against reality. Is there any written law that says you've got to acquiesce? You've got to go along with this? What did you say?
No, I'm not going to do it. Whether you can make it up, you can stay over 15 minutes extra the next day.
See, I understand how you feel, but that's not a real
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Tell what happened.
Okay, hey, listen. Hey, I really understand how you feel about this.
Herman had a solution to it. When a guy offers you to go do something $1,500, and you can't do that, then Herman had the key. And the way to make up for it is volunteer him to work 15 minutes over.
Yeah, you've got to come
up with something, or he's gonna fire you if you don't get $1,500.
You got to come to a workable compromise. That's right.
You better come to a solution quick.
Well,
Are you gone?
well, maybe so. But what was your suggestion? Somebody made back there just now.
About understanding how it felt, that wasn't a reasonable situation.
Yeah. Okay. What your objective is to come to a workable compromise without threatening your own self-esteem. And what could you do? Maybe that's what you want to do. Offer to spend some extra time. If your self-esteem is threatened, and the boss says, I can't accept that, you may come to a point where you can't reach a workable compromise.
Now, question. Get criticized for attitude. How do you respond to that?
Well,
If you really sincerely don't understand the question.
okay, give me an example. Let's play with it.
All right, Don, it's your attitude, right?
Yeah, I could improve my attitude, you're right.
Then you agree it's bad.
Yeah, it certainly could be better. I agree with you.
Do you know what's wrong with it?
No, I'm not sure.
Well, it's just your attitude. The way you look,
Well,
the way you walk.
yeah, I know what you mean. I need to try to carry myself a little better. Good point. Anybody got no? Throw out a criticism, problem, whatever. No, well, I guess we're out of time. 1 minute past. Okay, I appreciate those responses. Let's take